Hi everyone, so welcome to Power BI Part 2. So in Part 1, we were discussing about how we can connect Excel database into Power BI. And also we create some basic visualization as such. Okay, so in this part, we're going to do the same thing, but in a different ways that allowing us more flexibilities in terms of visualizing the data and also formatting the visualizations. Okay, so let's try it. So the first one, let's talk about this kind of aggregation on the summaries of the data by using the CAD visual. So we have the field related to training costs. So what we do is just to visual it in this way, which is very basics. However, if you have these visualizations, you have very limited options available in terms of customizing or analyzing and visualizing it. Okay, so what we're gonna do in a better way is trying to create measures. Okay, so how you can create the measures. Okay, so what we're gonna do is you go to quick measure, which is one way to do it. And if you go to quick measure, you can see some default option that is available. But okay, just in case that you want to try it, you can do it. Okay, for example, time intelligence, you want to calculate based on the year to date, you can try it. Okay, but in level twos, or probably we can say intermediate level in terms of how we use the Power BI, we always use measures or calculations. And we use it to present the same data, but a more flexible way. So how can we do it? So let me try three calculation in order to return the total cost of trainings, hours of training, and also the numbers of training courses. So how we can do it? So let's try. So the first thing you can do is you can click on new measures. Okay. So here it is. A few seconds, there will be a measures available here for you to try. So let's call it year to date. Okay, year to date total training cost. So how you can calculate it? So it is very simple as for some of you who have been using Advanced Excel in terms of Excel table or Excel format as table, you can write the same formulas. Okay, so you can try to use sum, which is aggregation and adding all of them together. Okay, the total training cost. So here it is, the total training cost. So enter, few seconds. Yes, you got the results. Here you can see that the total training cost here. Okay, so let's try to visual it. Okay, so let me try an identical kind. Okay, so let's take this one away. Wait a second. Let's keep that one. Let me try to replace this one. Okay, so we use the measure that we just create here. Just click on it. So you can see the same result, 305,000, okay, which is the total training cost. Okay, you can do the same thing. For example, you want a total numbers of trainings. So what you're gonna do is, okay, you have another options. Either you use new measure again, or you can try it here. So under the field pens, you can click on this three ellipse, and then you can use new measure. So the same thing will return. Okay. So you can try, for example, YTD. Okay. Hours of training. Okay. Hours of training, which mean okay, the total hours that we have spent on trainings. So what you're gonna do is to sum from the same database, okay? But what you want is hours of training, so you can using the page up and down arrow to try to navigate your table. Okay, so here it is, training record, hours of training. You can use tab, okay? Then it will select that field for you. Just few seconds. Here it is. And then you try to remove the original one, this one, and use the hours of training. So it will return the same results. You can see that. So what else? This one. Okay. You can try the same thing, which is number of training course. But numbers of training course, okay. So this is the third way of creating the measures. You can try one of the field down here, any one, okay. You can see the three dot here, the same thing. Just click on it and use the new measures, okay. So what you want is, okay, YTD, okay, let's call it year to date, okay, numbers, training course, okay, training courses. So very simple, but this one you have to use a function called distinct count, which is not available in Excel, okay. So you use distinct count, okay, distinct count of the training course, okay. So you try to navigate and find the training courses, okay. So here it is, okay. Wait a few seconds, okay. Here it is, number of training course. So what you're gonna do is, this one is 59, okay. So let me try to copy one of them, so then we can see the result is the same. So what I'm gonna do is remove this one and put a YTD training courses, okay. So in a second, you will see the numbers, which is the same, 59, okay. So that is another approach of how we can visual the data using calculation or measures, okay. So the same things to the visual down here. You can try to remove this one, okay, and you can put it back the training course, okay, YTD training course based on the calculation that we have done, okay. So the same thing apply for this one, okay. You can remove this one, and then you can put the training course, okay, based on the calculation back to it. So it giving us the same results, but in a more flexible ways. So how flexible it is? So it's actually, okay, you can also provide some options, okay, inside the calculation, okay. For example, sometimes the training cost is 0, okay. For example, if the training cost is 0, it means we don't have any cost in Q, so it is 0. But if you use these default options, okay, it will return blank. It will return blanks. But if you think that, oh, if it is 0, we want to return it 0, okay. So you can do it in calculation or measures, but you cannot use it in this default options, okay. So what you're gonna do is you can use if function. So you can try something like this. If, okay, if the summary of the total training course equal to 0, you make it 0. So it doesn't return the blank for you. Or otherwise, you will return the same formula. Okay, here it is. Okay. So it's giving you the same results. But if it is 0 over there, it doesn't give you the blank. Okay. So that is how good it is in terms of measures. So that's what we have about the measures. So you can remove this one, which is not, which is the basic one, and it is not giving us a lot of flexibilities in terms of visualization. So just remove it. Okay. Or let me just keep, okay, one of them just to demonstrate, okay, demonstrate some more options available in Power BI. Okay. So in here, you can see the options of using slices. But when you try to click on it, If you select on the other one, it will deselect the previous one, which means that the default option give you only one choice, is a single select option, which means that if you select on one, it return the results on that selections. But if you select another one, it will deselect the previous one and select the new one. But in some cases, probably you want to see, for example, a country like Cambodia, Laos, and Myanmar at the same times. So what you're gonna do is to customize your slicer. So how to do it? You click on it, you click on the format options, and then there is a selection control here that you can change it. So normally, okay, you disable this one and enable this one. Okay. So you can try to play around with the selection controls and try to see how it's work. Okay, so here it is. You have the option select all, okay, which is basically the default. And then you have the option of select individual, okay, entities or companies, okay, or two at the same time, or three at the same time, or four at the same time, or five. It's dependent on what you want. So it's giving us a lot of flexibilities, whether you want to see just one, two at the same time, three at the same times. Okay. So the same thing goes to the departments. If you want to apply the same custom slices, you can just repeat the process or using the format painter options. So either you use the format painter option this way, okay, here it is, you get the results. You have select all option and multi-select, okay. But in some cases, for example, if you have scenario, either you want to see the data month to date and year to date or quarter to date. So there are three options available, but you cannot multi-select that options because you cannot see the data at the same times, month to date and year to date, for example. Okay. So this is just giving you some example of how it works in terms of using slicers. And another slicer that is very interesting to know is you can use that slicers again, okay, but in this case you use the date field into the slicer. So how it's work, you can just use the date field, okay, here it is. So what it's giving you is, okay, a very flexible options, okay, that you can drag this one and see the result for a particular timeline from certain date to certain date. Okay, so the same thing, you can move just one of them or you can move two of them at the same times. Okay, so either you manually move it or you have another options which is quite the same as when you book the hotel or when you book the flight. Okay, so what you can do is just click on this one. For example, you want to see from the 1st of February until the 28th of February. So what you can do is just try to scroll down, or another way is, okay, click on February, click the 1st of February. Oh, here it is. And then you want to see until, for example, today is 22nd of March. So you can try March, okay, 20 seconds. Okay, here it is. Okay, so wait a second, and then you will be given the results, okay, of your data from the date that you specify, from the start date until the end date, which basically between certain date to certain dates. So this is a very good options for certain analysis. Okay, so some people interested in seeing the data in a certain timeline, so you can do it in this way. So very, very flexible options. Okay. Another thing is you can try to play around with the option available here. So it is not only giving you the option of the date between certain date to certain dates, but it's also given you the options before date, after date, list of date, okay, and a drop down menus or relative dates or relative times, just in case that you have times field in your database. Okay, so very simple. You can try to play around with it. Okay, very simple. Okay, here it is. So let me try to remove something that we don't need. Okay, here it is. So what else you can do? For example, in this CAD visualization, probably you want to make it look more attractive by changing the formats. So what you can do is just go to the under the visualization panes. Okay, click on the format. Okay, for example, you want to try the data label. Okay, the data label probably you don't want to see it in blacks. Okay, you want to see it in gray, so you can put it in gray. Okay, maybe this one doesn't give you a good looking, so you can try different ways. So you can try a black red one. So here it is. So it's depend on what you want. Okay, and it's also giving you the options. Okay, it's also giving you the options based on certain condition. For example, if it is under 300K, you want to see it in black. But if it is over 300K, you want to see it in red. So you can also make that call. So by using the features here, which is formula. Okay. So you use if statement. If that is lower than 300, make it blue. More than 300, make it red. So it's your call. So you can give just two condition or three condition or many condition as much as you can. Okay, so it's just a simple if statement. Okay, and what else? Okay, what else? You can wrap it. You can have extra title on top of that if you want to. Okay, you can change the background. For example, let me try and give you some example. Okay, you can try it on. Okay, background, let's make it blue, so it is blue. You see that? Very simple, but make sure, okay, the background is easy for you to read the data. Okay, so basically some things that giving us make more sense. Okay, so let me try a default one, which is a white background. Okay, so there are many things you can do. For example, you want a borders. Okay, here it is, the default border, which is a red one. Okay, and you can have this one as well. Okay, you can repeat the same process by just enable the borders. So you got the borders, and if you want exactly the same formats, you can just click on format painters and do this. Okay, so it's also giving you a copy of the format to the same types of visualizations. Okay, very simple. So what else you can do? In terms of building reports, at some point, okay, you need a logo of a company and you also need a title. So how we can do it? Let me try to insert a logo for you. So insert the image. So we have the options to navigate to where we download the image. So for example, I download and put it into this folders. Okay, so I just pick one of them. Let's say pick this one. Okay, here it is. Few seconds. Oh my, okay, here it is. We got it. Okay, you can drag it big or small. It depends on what you want it. Okay, and whether does it make sense for you to see it in this way or not. Okay, and what else? You want the title. So if you want the title, there are a few ways to do it. Either you use the text box, which is a static one, or you choose the calculation. So normally I like to use the calculation of measures, okay, because it's giving us a lot of flexibilities in terms of returning the results. Okay, so for example, let me try a new measure. Okay, and call it, okay, title. Title. So if you want to display the text is considered a string in database, so you have to put uh, this sign. Okay, you have to put this sign. So you can call it. Okay, you can put the quotation and call it, for example, okay, training dashboard, okay, dashboard as of, okay, and then you want to put the date, for example, you want to put the date of, let's say, okay, let's say today, okay, so then you can call today, okay, which is a features available there. But you also need to format it nicely, so you put format, which is the same as in Excel, that you use text functions, okay, you call it DD, which is day, okay, M, which is month, so you only want to see 3 letters of the month, which is for example March, okay, MAR, okay, April, APR, something like this, okay. And year you want to see the whole number, which is not only 21 but 2021, so you can type it in this way. Oh, sorry, you can call Y, okay, 4 times. Here it is, okay, enter, few seconds, oh, it's boom, here, the title. And then you visualizing it using the CAD visual, okay, make it a little bit bigger based on what you want, okay, and then you just drag the title into the field. Here it is. So it's giving you what you want, training dashboard as of 22nd March 2021. And what you also want to customize is you don't want to see the title here. So just click on the format and disable the category. Okay, so here it is, training dashboard 22nd March, okay, 2021. Okay, so what else you want to do? Probably you don't, okay, you can try different options available in the format here. You don't want to wrap it, okay, so here it is, okay, and there are a lot of options that you can change the background, you can use the border, you can use the shadow, and many more, okay, you can try to play around with it. So here it is, creating a basic dashboard, okay. So once you go and change your data, okay, you can just come here and hit refresh, okay, and that's very simple, okay. So we finished creating it. So in order to create it, the first thing you need to know is how you connect the data to Power BI. Second is transforming the data, so using the options available in Power Queries, okay, and then you load the data into Power BI and create what we call measures or calculation, which is the same as I just did for the total training course, the hours of trainings, and the numbers of training course, as well as the title here. So that is called calculation, or technically speaking, we call it measures in Power BI. So after you create the measure, you need to visualize it in a graphical way, something like this, okay. And after that, you have to interact to see the data in an interactive way. So then you may need to use slices, okay. So that's it. So I have 3 more videos. So one is about how you can create the measures in a different ways. So basically it's a very important one, such as creating this kind of measures, but using different functions and formulas, okay. Second is about how you visualizing it. So I have another video on visualizing different types of visualization available here, okay. So that is the other video. And the third video is about slicer, okay. So the options that you can play around with slicer, okay. So after this video, I have 3 more videos that if you have times, you can try and have a look at it, so that you can goes to another level, which is understanding of how we can create measures, visualizing it, and also interacting with the measures that we created by using slicer. Either it's a kind of listing like this or a timeline like this. So I think that's it for part 2. and 3 more videos that could be considered as part 3, 4, 5. Okay, and then the last part is about publishing your data, publishing your dashboard into Power BI. Okay, actually it's called a report in Power BI, this one. Okay, so you publish your report into Power BI service, which is available online, and then you share it to any managers or any stakeholders. Okay, but by default, if you create this kind of reports, publish it and share it to the end user or to the manager or any stakeholders, they can see all the data. Okay, everyone can see all the data. But in case that you want to restrict what the user can see, for example, you want to restrict, okay, Cambodia, they can see only the data for Cambodia. Laos, they can see only the data for Laos, and Myanmar, they can see the data for Myanmar. So in that case, you have to restrict the data that can be viewed or seen by each individual user. So in that case, you need another step, which is a more complex but very powerful step, is called row-level security. So row-level security is about creating the hierarchy of who can do what and who can do what. For example, if someone who is a global wide president or regional wide president, then they can see everything. Okay, probably. So we don't need to restrict anything for them. But if they are countries managers or they are general managers for certain countries, they should see only the portfolio that they are managing, which means that if they are in Cambodia, they should see only Cambodia. If they are in Laos, they can see only in Laos. So in that way, we need to create that hierarchy for them. So in order to create that, we will use the modeling tab here, okay? And we will play around with the managing role. So I will create another video on that, so it will giving you a lot of flexibilities in terms of publishing your report into Power BI and sharing your report into different stakeholders. Okay, so thank you for watching this video, and hope to see you again in the next video. Okay, and if you have time, don't forget to also see 3 of my videos that focus on creating the measures, visualizing those measures, and also interacting those measures with slices here. Okay, and also timeline. Okay, so I think that's it for today, and thank you again, and hope to see you again for the next part of the Power BI sessions. Okay, stay safe, stay awesome.